So what's going on, guys? All right, so today, while we have a little bit of downtime, you can see the shop is an absolute disaster because we've just been cranking on everything that's going on. We're going to do a little something today that is hopefully going to answer the biggest question that I get on almost every single one of my welding videos. Now, I don't mind that I get this question. I think I just need to make a video to actually answer it once and for all. But it all surrounds two things. This hose, and what is it doing there? And then this wonderful great value aluminum foil. So basically, what we're going to be talking about today is back purging, how to back purge, and why you need to back purge when welding. Now, it's a topic that has been on so many videos, but it seems to be buried every now and then because on every single video that I watch from the Fabricator series or the Fabrication series from Justin over there, or any video that I watch with welding tips and tricks, everybody's always asking why is their hoses connected to the part that you're welding. So I'm hoping that, you know what, even though my channel is still small, that I can give you guys, my subscribers, a little bit of information on why it is that we back purge. So basically, what we're going to be doing today is we're actually going to weld these three pieces of 3-inch stainless steel tubing together. I'm going to do one weld joint with no back purge. Then I'm going to do a weld joint with back purge. And then I'm also going to explain to you what we're setting it up as, how we're setting it up, why we're using what we're using, and various other things. So, for the sake of not making this video 15 or 20 minutes long, I'm going to try to keep it right around 10 minutes. I'm just going to get right into it. I'm going to fire up the welder. The welder settings are going to be this. They are going to be on DC, electrode negative, running right about 45 amps. I'm going to have a number 8. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch to the number 12 M-Furic Fupa ceramic cup with a gas lens on my number 20 water-cooled torch. We're going to run 45 amps, and we're going to run the exact same settings for both passes, both the unback purged pass and the purged back purge, or the back purged pass. Same settings, same everything. So I'm going to get right into that now. We're going to first weld up these two smaller pieces here, and we're going to do those with the actual no back purge whatsoever. And then we'll come back after I get that welded, and we will go over what it's going to take to back purge the rest of it. So let's get to that now. I'm going to give you guys some helmet cam footage of me welding everything, and yeah, probably a little time lapse because it's going to take a couple of minutes. So here we go. Alright guys, so now from all outward appearances, I'll bring you in here. From all outward appearances, this weld appears to be just fine. We didn't clean the metal, and I was moving kind of fast just to get it done. But for the most part, this weld looks okay. You know, passable. It's laid down nice and flat. There's no craziness going on. It's got some halfway decent color. It's not too grayed out. The heat affected zone is kind of small. However, now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this tube around and let you guys see inside of the tube to show you what happens when you do not back purge this. And although this weld looks amazing, I'm going to show you why it is absolutely not. And it is absolutely terrible. Alright, so, do you guys see, before this gets too hot, all of that crap that is inside there? All of that garbage. If we could just get a display on the back here, we'd be good. Alright. All of that garbage that's in there that you can see is what's called sugaring. Now it's basically the metal reacting to the oxygen in the air. So what you're getting is a very disgusting weld. There's no penetration on the inside. Any bit of penetration you see is all covered in that, you know, that basic carbon oxide that's in there that's generated when this metal gets too hot. So this weld technically would fail. It would break. It would not hold any strength. It would crack. It would do everything. So when an exhaust system is welded with this and it's got those problems, then you're going to have major issues with it. So that is what we're not looking to do. We're absolutely not looking for that weld to be that way. So now what we're going to do is set the camera back up here. Now what we're going to do is we are literally going to set this up to do all the back purging on it. Now, it's still super hot, so it's going to take me a little bit to get everything set up. But what I'm going to start by doing is taking this piece here and tack welding it to, I'll bring you guys down a little bit so you can see this better. We're going to tack weld this together. Then we're going to set up our back purge apparatus. And then from there, we'll do this weld completely back purged. And then I'll be able to come back and show you guys what a back purge weld looks like versus the non-back purge weld. So here we go. And what I'll do maybe is I'll even cut this down the middle, cut it in half so that you could see it even better. So I'm going to get this set up. We're going to tack this together. We're going to back purge it and we'll go. So here we go. Alright guys, so now that we got that tacked together, we're going to use our back purge setup. Now basically how this works is all of the oxygen that is inside this tube, you want it out. You want to fill that tube with something that's not going to react with the metal. In this case we use pure argon. Now the pure argon is not going to react with the metal too much. And I'm sorry if I'm peeking out a little bit on the audio, but it's a little crazy with the helmet on, so let me turn that down. But basically, we need to get all the oxygen out of here. And in this case, we're using argon. Now, the argon that we're going to be using is literally straight from one of my extra bottles. We're going to pump it in one side. We're going to push all the air out the other side. So here's how this works. I have a purge plug. This is just a chunk of billet aluminum that I literally drilled a hole through the center of it, put a small air fitting at the end, and then tapered it so that it'll fit inside of a 3-inch pipe, nice and tight. So you push that in that end. Now we need something to cover this end so the air doesn't ingress back in through this side. That's where the aluminum foil comes in. So now the aluminum foil, we will literally, I like to double it up like so. You don't have to, but I like to do it that way. And then we'll put it over this end. And I like to make sure that it's on there nice and tight. So I kind of give it a little bit of a lip to ride on here. Now you might be saying, Justin, that end is all sealed up. You're going to push the air in and you're not going to have anywhere for it to go. So what we need to do is we don't want the air escaping from this seam, because when you start to weld the seam and you actually get the seam completely welded, you get to a certain point, there'll be a lot of pressure that builds up in here and it'll spit the weld back out at you and it just messes up the whole piece. So what you want to do is at this end right here, just take your welding rod and poke some holes. You don't need a whole ton, but just put some holes in the end of it. So now we can push argon in through this end, push all of the oxygen out through this end, and then our weld will be shielded on both this side from the torch and then on the inside from the argon. So we're going to put this here like so. Then we're going to take our hose that everybody likes to inquire about, and we're going to plug that in here. And then we'll go up to our secondary argon bottle and turn that on. Now we want, in this short of a piece of pipe, usually 10 to 15 CFH of argon is fine. So that's what we're going to be running right now, is about 10 or 15 CFH of argon. Now one thing you want to make sure you do is give this, because this is small, you can give it about 30 seconds to a minute just to push all of the oxygen out. Now by doing that, we'll get all the oxygen out, we'll get some nice clean argon on the inside of there, and when we weld this, everything is going to go better. The weld is going to be better penetrated through the metal. We're not going to get that nasty scale on the inside. Everything is going to look a shit ton better than it did before. So I'm going to get to welding this now. I'll weld it together, we'll cut it in half, and then I can show you guys a really good comparison between a back purge joint versus a non-back purge joint. So I think this is about good. I'm going to start welding it now, and I'll come back once it's all cut up, and yeah, we'll get you the before and afters. Alright guys, so as outward appearances would have it, these welds don't look a whole lot different. That is the non-back purged one. This is the back purged one. Now I don't know if you'll be able to see this on camera, but if you notice, this weld doesn't look very consistent. There are definite areas where the puddle is wider than other areas, and on this weld it is very consistent all the way through. The puddle width is the same, the start stops are better, everything looks a lot better, where this weld doesn't. Now, outward appearances, like I said guys, if you rotate this all the way around, these welds don't look much different. As a matter of fact, you might think, oh wow, this guy did a nice job welding it. Now, that might be the case from the outside. You might look at that and go, oh wow, that's a good weld. But what we're going to do right now is I'm going to cut this tube in half, and I will show you guys exactly where the problem is. All right, boys. Here we go. So now, here is a close-up of the unpurged weld. You can see how terrible that looks. There's literally this little scaly stuff, and I'll point to it right there. I don't know if you'll be able to see how much that is actually raised unless I do this. Yeah, you can see it. That weld is actually going to be very prone to breaking. Now, let me shut this welder off so you can hear me better. All right, now I don't have to talk so loud. And we can turn the back purge off because we don't need that anymore. All right, so now here's the interesting part about this. Let me clean it up a little bit. So now here is the back purged weld. Now what you can see is it appears as though I've actually welded that on the inside. There's actually a nice bead of weld inside that hole. So you can see the little bit of sugaring right there, that little dot, that was my tack weld. So you can see how much that actually causes a problem. You got a nice bead on the inside. This is welded all the way through. This side, horrible. Massive heat affected zone, all sorts of impurities in that weld. This side even worse, where it got hotter. Massive impurities. This side, nothing. This side welded straight through. So guys, that is the importance of back purging. When you properly back purge something the right way, every single time you're going to get a result like that. That is absolutely perfect. Your weld will sink all the way through. You know you'll have an amazing bond. You'll have full penetration on every aspect of what you're welding. So is back purging a must? Yes. Are there alternatives to back purging? Also yes. There is a paste, comes in powder form, called solar flux. Now we won't get into that because I don't have any, but solar flux is basically a paste that you mix together with something like denatured alcohol, and then you can brush it onto the backside of whatever you're welding, and that will shield the backside of that part from the weld. Maybe one day when I get some of that, we'll get into that. But for now, this is just argon gas back purging. Super important. You guys can see the before and after. Now you know why I do it. Now you know how I do it and all the ins and outs of it. So I hope you enjoyed the hell out of this video. I'm trying to keep it as short as possible. We're already at 30 minutes of video, so I got to edit this down a little bit. But I will see you guys on the next one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Thank you to all of you that have. I appreciate every single one of you. And I will see you guys on the next one. Still not going to do it. Good night.